I am ready to sew now, and I was not sure how to start and what direction to go. I thought about doing, you know, all the rows and then sewing the rows together. But to do this zigzag, I didn't want to get everything all, you know, there's only so much room here, so I didn't want to get that bunched up. So I thought maybe if I sewed from the corner out, it might be easier. And so I wasn't sure, so I was at work and didn't have anything to do. So I made a little paper quilt of how it's going to turn out. So I am going to start in this corner and sew these 4 blocks, then sew these 2 onto those 2, and then these 3 onto those, and work my way this way. And so I have this little diagram now to help me know which I'm going to sew first. So that is how I'm going to do that. And I'm not sure how to keep these in order for now. Let's see. I just don't know. I'll have to figure something out to keep those in order. So those will probably get pushed off as I'm sewing, but okay, so this is block 1 and 2, and so I'm just gonna sew these seams, this seam together. So I need to make sure I'm matching the seam. That is gonna be the most important, to have the blocks look good on the other side. So I need to grab my pin. And again, I just want to make sure that I am going to catch the very end of this, but I don't want to go too far in. So to match the lines, I just have been putting a pin in and then flipping it over and seeing if it lines up with the other one on the other side. And that looks like it is. And so does that one. So I'm just gonna put a couple pins in. And I'm using navy thread. You could use a contrasting color in your bobbin, and then you'd have, when you do your zigzag along here, then you'd have a contrasting color on your denim side. So I'm just gonna sew right along this line. And I've been back stitching just because this is not very much fabric holding together. So now it goes that way. So now I'll sew these together. Maybe I'll just go clockwise around and know the top left is on the top. Maybe that's how I'll keep track of them. I wanted to have the checkerboard and then a solid. So I need to, the solid needs to be there. So I'll sew these 2 sides together. Again, matching those seams. Now, I'm going to go and press these seams open, and then I can sew these together. So I'll be right back. All right, I have those pressed open. So this is 1 and 2, one row from row 1, block 1 and 2, and from row 2, blocks 1 and 2. And so I'm going to sew them together. So now I will press this seam and come back. All right, so I've decided to just put a pin in this first square so I can keep track of the squares. So now I can add my fabrics and the batting, but I think, well, no, I'm going to do that. So here's my squares of batting. Put those over here. And, well, maybe I should take this pin out for a minute. So, I'm trying to get that in camera. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. And I don't know. I'm thinking this is going to be the outside edge, and so I'm thinking of just leaving it and doing it all at once at the end when I'm all done. So I'll just put these in, and then I can do these middle zigzags. Okay, so I'll just sandwich some batting underneath the fabric in these squares and come back. So this square is a little bit big. I don't know if maybe I sewed the seam too close together or something, but I'm just gonna take my scissors and trim that a bit and see if it'll fit in there a little bit better. I need to trim another side too. Just a smidge off there. And there we go. That fits in there better. So for these edges that are going to be having other squares attached, I'm not going to put I'm not going to put the batting in and stuff. I think I'll maybe just pin the squares so I can remember where they belong, and then once I get these blocks sewn on this edge, then I can go ahead and do the batting on that. So I just wanted to show that if it doesn't fit, then you can just trim it a little bit. Okay, I am ready to zigzag, so I'm going to not do these outside row because I'll need to attach more of the circles to it. So I am just gonna do this side and then the center and then this side, and then I'll go and do these ones in the middle. So I'm going to set my machine to a zigzag, and I think I want a pretty narrow zigzag. So, all right. So here I go. So I'm just going to follow along this curve. Hopefully I'll do okay. I've not done this before, so we will see how this goes. I'll kind of stop there and turn it at the center. So this one is sewn on there. That one did not do a very good job. There's kind of a bit of a pucker there. I'll try to be more careful. Let me think. Do I want to do all the, maybe I'll do all the ones going down here and then turn and do the one's going the other way. So I will do this one next. See what it looks like on the back. Oh, that'll be cute. Okay, oops. Oh, forgot those weren't pinned. Okay, so now I'll just keep doing this and I'll come back when I am done doing all the zigzagging and show you what it looks like. All right, so I have these 4 blocks all done. I like the puffiness. And so this is, let's see, this is the top here. And so, as I said, I'm going to leave these, the outside edges, and just sew all of them at once, I think. Okay, I thought I would show my progress on my quilt. I have all the rows across, and so I just have 4 more rows down. So there's 7 4 circle squares across, and then there's 14 down. No, 10 rows down. So I was starting here and did the one below it, and then I did those 2. And then I did those 2, and then I did 3, and then 3, and 4, and 4, and then somewhere I got confused and did ones that I was supposed to attach to the bottom onto the side. So my pattern right here got messed up a little bit, so I kind of fixed it, and so some places the pattern's messed up, but I don't really care. I think it looks pretty good. Definitely not perfect. It's harder than I thought to sew together, and it's taken longer than I thought. So now I just have 4 more rows. So what I've been doing is at the bottom just been pinning the fabric back on, and then I have, to lessen the confusion, I've been pinning numbers on to keep it in order. So this is the bottom row. So I have 1, and then 2, and so on. And then I've been taking the squares, taking the squares off like this, and just leaving them in a pile so I know exactly where they belong. And then excuse me, and then taking these and sewing them together, you know, in a row, and then sewing the row onto the quilt, and then adding the square of batting with the, let's see, that would be this piece here. Adding it with the fabric, and then sewing, and then I've been sewing down the rows, so on this row it'll be, I'll sew down along here. So I will add on this row, and then I'll sew these seams like this and show you how I've been doing that. Okay, so I have my row sewn together here. So I'm going to just pin it to the edge of the quilt. I'm just going to line up each seam, and then just sew, sew right along here, all the way down. I'll do that and be right back. Alright, now that my row is attached, I've ironed the seam down, so I'm going to take the fabric and line it up with a batting square. They're both 4 inches, and tuck it, maybe up here where you can see, tuck it under my flaps, or I'm not sure what you'd want to call those, the edges of my circle. And this looks to be just a little bit wide, so I'm going to trim that. Okay, just going to trim just a smidge off the edge of this square. That's probably a bit more than a smidge, but let's see how it fits in there now. I'm just putting it right up against the edge of the seam here, and that looks good. And I kind of put the edges down to make sure it's going to lay flat, and then I've just been putting a pin in the center, and then I'll just move on to this square here, right next to it, and just do the same thing. Okay, I am ready to sew down my denim on top of my fabric squares. So the quilt is rather large, so I folded it over, and then I'm going to fold this side in so it'll fit better under my machine. So it's really getting kind of heavy and awkward to work with, but hopefully it'll all be good in the end. Okay, so I am going to come at this at an angle like so, because you're going to be sewing a half circle, well, a quarter circle, I guess, and then just, got to switch over to my zigzag stitch, so I just, this is kind of challenging, so luckily it's pretty forgiving, and just kind of help it along, and make sure your needle is down as you adjust your quilt to where you need it to be. And I have found if I actually am kind of more on the outside edges of the quilt, you can't see my hand, but that kind of helps move it along. And then just move it around and follow along that curve, and then put your needle down in the center of the square, and then angle it back to go follow along this curve. And I just tuck that under as I go and just kind of twist it and just keep going all So I just do that all the way down here and then start back up at the top and do the next side of the same blocks. Do these, and then these, and then these, and then these last ones I'll leave. These last ones at the edge I'll leave because that's where I'm going to attach my next row. So I'll just do all those, and when I'm done doing all those, I'll come back. Now that I am ready to sew the other part of the square, the other two sides, I have rolled up this from the top down. This is the bottom, and that way it can fit under my machine a little bit better. So I'm just going to sew here and here, and then pivot it around, and then sew back. So let's get going. I put my needle down, raise my presser foot, and stand up, and try to keep this rolled. Oh, it is challenging now that it's this big. Oh, okay. Just kind of, ouch. Tuck that under there. There we go. Okay. Oh. So now, ooh, okay. This is definitely challenging. I'm gonna take that pin out because I keep poking myself. Okay. So now I've got to, oh, that did not sew on there very good on the other ones. I think I'll just kind of, let's see. Oh, just turn it like that, and so as I sew, I'm gonna just unroll this side and roll this side up. So I'll have two rolled. And once it gets big enough, I was using binder clips to hold it rolled up so that it would stay, because it was kind of unrolling as I sewed. So I will just unroll this one and roll this one up one, and then do these two, and just go like that all the way across, and then I'll be ready to add another row onto the bottom. So I'm gonna do all that, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Now I am done with this row. Got all the stitching down. So now I have 3 more rows to go, and then I'll be ready to bind the sides. Here is my quilt, all done except for the edges. So let me do it by an edge, kind of zoom in, and then I'll show you. I am just going to fold these over. I was thinking maybe I would iron it first, but I don't think so. I think I'll just fold it over as I go and just sew all the way around like that, and then it will be done. Yay! Now I am finished. Here's the corners. And the whole thing Completely done. Oh, I cannot tell you how excited I am. I have been working on this for literally years, just here and there. But I finally got the bug and said, I am going to finish it, and I did. Yay! So thank you so much for watching, and give me a thumbs up if you like this, and we'll see you later.